Do you think that's a valid reason for a young person to carry a knife out of the idea of protection?
Well, it can never be a valid reason, because the mere fact that you're saying I'm carrying a knife to protect myself indicates that you're prepared to use it and to actually inflict harm on somebody else. You know, if that's not the case, then there'd be no need to actually carry that. And even threatening somebody with a knife, you know, that is going to trigger a chain of events that ultimately could lead to your death if you're carrying that knife, or to somebody else's death because you've got it in your possession. So there can never be a valid reason to actually carry a knife. And I think it's important that, you know, young people understand that, you know, carrying a knife, you may think, well, that's safe, I'm never going to use it. But I've seen on so many occasions where people have been drawn into incidents which they may never have anticipated happening, or they've actually lent knives to somebody else that have then gone on to murder other people. And that is the consequence, that is the reality of carrying a knife.
If they don't carry a knife, then there's nothing there what they can do to hurt a person. You know, why would they have to carry it to protect themselves? I don't see why they should have to. And if they're going to do that, they've got to think about what, you know, that person's family, the consequences of their actions if they do use a knife. You know, it's somebody's son or daughter, it's somebody's grandson, granddaughter, it's somebody's cousin, and you know, it's not just one person, it's all the people around them who it's going to affect.
Yeah. I always tell them, before they pick up a knife, think twice what it's going to do to them and what it's going to do to the victims. Because whichever way it turns out, it destroys both lives, especially the victims, because not only does it destroy the parents, it also destroys the victims' brothers, sisters, everything, because their life changes as well. Yeah.
I don't think we have a massive problem with young people carrying knives. I think the difficulty we have with knives, rather than guns, is accessibility. Somebody could walk into a kitchen drawer and get a knife out, you know, tomorrow. So what we're doing is a massive piece of work in all the schools. What we can get into, the youth clubs, some activities we get involved in there, and just doing a bit of a prevention programme with young people.
It needs to build. This is a new team, we've just been running a year, and although Youth Offending Service and other agencies will have addressed this problem in the past when it's come through, again generally probably on a one-to-one basis, what we can do now is hit young people and children in bigger areas through the schools, through the youth clubs. They can see that we want to be able to help them and that they can come and talk to us about it, and we can also respect their confidentiality. They can come to us, they can say what they want. Our ultimate aim, as always, would be to keep those young people safe.
What sort of young people are carrying knives then? Is it across the board, really?
It is across the board. We've had you know, straight A-grade students, we've had young people not being in school, we've had girls. It is across the board, and the reasons do differ. It can be because my mate's carrying one, it is because the fear that somebody else is carrying one, and we have had people who've been bullied the night before, so they've carried to school. Now, what they say to us is, I wouldn't use this, I would just use it to threaten them, to keep them at bay. But that has happened in the past, and people have actually died.
Often it seems young people are misinformed when it comes to the impact of knife crime, something the professionals are keen to put straight.
The biggest part of the job, I feel, is around myth busting. So what young people think about knife crime and how they think it will go. One of the mantras we use with young people is, if you are willing to pick up a knife, are you willing to use it? And the answer has to be yes, because they may not understand the situation they're putting themselves in, or they are potentially putting themselves in.
I don't think they do realise, a lot of young people we work with, they will say that they'll stab in what they class as safe areas, which are the arms, the legs, the buttocks. That's what they say they do.
The problem with a lot of stab wounds is that you don't know how deep they've gone.
Violence involving knives always has the potential of resulting in a fatality. You can cause serious injury or the death of someone by stabbing them almost anywhere in the body. All you have to do is hit a major vessel and if there's some significant delay in that person seeking a medical attention or getting medical attention, then that can occur. It is wrong to think that if you stab someone in the arm or the leg, you may not necessarily cause serious damage or even result in their death. In the arm, you have a major vessel called the brachial artery, and if you are unlucky enough to get your brachial artery severed and you are in a place where medical attention cannot be quickly sought, then that can occur.
People to self-diagnose and say they feel fine, initially they could, because their body kicks in, you know, you get the flight things going on, so that they feel fine, they feel fired up and sort of thing, but they could sit down and 5 minutes later they could be bleeding internally, they could be just gradually sliding downhill. So anybody who's stabbed needs to be seen and assessed, so that at least that somebody who's competent can actually say, you know, you need to see a doctor, or you need to have this looked at. Because even if it's a flesh wound, if it's a mucky knife, then it's going to get infected, so it needs cleaning at least.
Just recently I was involved in a domestic stabbing in which the victim was stabbed in the thigh. And in the thigh you have the femoral artery, which is another large artery, and he bled out and died on his settee.
And I had a guy years ago who had been attacked. He'd been stabbed several times in the chest, in his back, and when I got there he was standing up in the dark place. Police were on scene, the scene was safe, and I said, hello, I'm the ambulance service, and his reply was just, I could hear it bubbling, I could hear a gurgle. So I knew immediately that there was blood in his throat, and I could hear bubbling on his chest, and I knew without even seeing it that he'd got puncture wounds to his lungs, and as he was breathing out, the air was either being sucked in or being breathed out. So we very quickly just got him on our trolley, in the ambulance, into the light. We got a police escort to hospital. On the way to hospital I managed to get cannulas, the needles in his arm, and began to give him some fluid on the way. But he was seriously injured. He needed surgery. You know, he didn't need too much messing about.
And yet he was still stood up.
He was stood up, yeah. How he stood up? Another 5 minutes, he'd have probably just crashed and died.
Well, you stab someone in the leg, and it seems to me you've got just as good a chance of killing them, almost as if you stab them in the chest. I've certainly dealt with cases where that sort of thing's happened. There's lots and lots of big blood vessels in the leg, there's lots and lots of big blood vessels in the arm, and you get one of those and somebody's going to bleed to death again. You might not have wanted that to happen, but that's what's going to happen, and then you're going to pay the penalty for it.
I'm a father. I've got 3 daughters. And sometimes I think it's better having daughters or sons, but everything's got its own problems, because knife crime doesn't care if you're a boy or a girl. And it's just very, very worrying. The attitudes, it's just very, very worrying.
David was 16 when he was stabbed in a random act of violence. David didn't want his identity to be known in this film, but was happy to talk about his experience.
Basically, we just stood at the bus stop, going to Meadowhall, and he just got off the bus. I didn't alter any word to him. He just basically just started attacking us. And through the struggle, we ended up behind a chip shop, and he ended up stabbing me. So,
where did he stab you?
On my right side.
How did you feel?
Actually, I didn't notice at first. It was when I started getting short of breath. Then I realized I'd been stabbed. Well, that's when I realized I'd been stabbed. So, yeah. It was like a case of the unknown. That was like what worried me the most. I always keep having this feeling that I have to watch myself in certain situations. I don't really go to like most places that I normally go to before the incidents, like clubs and stuff like that. I really don't enjoy going to them because I really kind of feel unsafe.
David is now 18. He had just completed his A-levels when the interview took place and is now studying at university. His attacker is serving 6 years in prison. David has bravely managed to get his life back on track, but for the families left behind in murder cases, that rebuilding process can take much longer.
once we have arrested somebody and charged them, it's a very, very long drawn out process, and we can be waiting anything up to 6 months before we have a trial. And during that time the families are just in limbo. They want some closure, they want to grieve and they want to move on. But because we're still there, we're still taking statements, we're still taking exhibits, we're waiting for different court hearings to come and go, the family are just totally embroiled in what's happening to them.
Witnesses are important because they are the people that will give the direct evidence that says this is what happened, I saw what happened, and they can paint the picture in terms of the offence and how it's taken place. When we talk about communities, what I've actually found is that members of communities who are really integrated within the community, are working for the benefit of the community, we get significant support from them, and we always have done. What I've found with the murder inquiries that I've been in charge of over the last 12 to 18 months is that where we don't always get that cooperation is from within those young people very often who are connected with the perpetrators. And there's very often the situation where, you know, even if they're loosely connected, they won't cooperate with the police.
I know if I witnessed something like that, I couldn't live with myself knowing that I've stood by and not said anything, you know. And I know if I, you know, what seeing it's one thing and being traumatised by it's another. But the guilt that you're going to live with for the rest of your life for not saying anything is going to haunt you. Every time, you know, you're going to be, and that's the message you've got to get across. These people don't think about anybody but themselves. They're just thinking about their reputation, you know. And they're showing off in front of you, I'm bad and everything. They don't think about anybody but themselves, and it's not even thinking about a stupid rep. It's not even anything worth thinking about. And they want to traumatise you for the rest of your life, and you don't owe them nothing. You don't owe them nothing. They didn't think about you, so you don't owe them nothing. We
traced over 200 people who were in that nightclub on that night, and only one person actually was prepared to stand up and give evidence at court. Now that's what makes our job more difficult. But that being said, that is the reason why we will leave no stone unturned in terms of gathering other evidence from things like CCTV or forensic evidence and other types of evidence as well.
So nobody's smarter than police, believe me, and that's the problem. Everybody thinks, I won't get caught, I've got my boys behind me. Listen, everybody has got somebody that's a weak link. And someone's going to point their finger at jealousy, out of self-preservation. They think, I'm not going down, he did it. Somebody is going to point the finger. And if that doesn't happen, you're going to get spotted, you're going to get caught, you're going to forensics. People are getting done for crimes now they did 20 years ago. So what makes you think you're going to get away with a crime you did yesterday?
That's what these kids